Gear up as Cash Miller and a team of accomplished guests steer you on an enlightening voyage filled with valuable tips, fresh insights, and effective strategies. Welcome to Marketing Masters, the Agency Power Show.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cash Miller. I'm the host of Marketing Masters, CEO of Titan Digital. And today we're going to be talking reputation management because I'll tell you, the review counts are getting insane for some industries and stuff. I've got with me Ross McDaniel of Fence Post. Ross, it's great to have you on. Tell us a little bit about your agency, yourself. What do you do?
Yeah, thanks, Cash, for having me on. Been excited about this for quite some time. Fence Post, we are a home service lead gen agency. Sounds pretty ho-hum, but honestly, we're taking a tried and true set of principles, applying them into a very simple 4-ingredient formula, and really just trying to help the businesses that are the backbones of our local communities thrive and grow. We believe we can do that, and we're excited about applying our formula for each and every one.
Well, today we're going to be talking reputation management, and with service businesses, it's something that really matters a great deal because the review counts on some back in the day, 2014, 2015 and stuff, Google hadn't really rolled out reviews with the maps and stuff. They did, but nobody was really taking them seriously yet and such. Now, the counts that you see, if you do a Google search for a restaurant, a service company, like you name the industry, if they're going to show up locally, the number of reviews are just insane, right?
The hundreds, if not the thousands. Yeah. And it's to the point now where you've said it before, you're probably not going to catch up. But what you can do is make sure that you're in the game. And I think that's the most important anthem that needs to be preached is get in the game, start collecting reviews if you haven't already, and go out there and engage with your customer base.
Yeah, let's start with why they're so critical because one of the things it's like you just said, you're not necessarily going to catch up because there are some companies we're seeing reviews in the thousands. Yeah. And it might not be just one. It's not just your big players and stuff. There are, smaller companies that have, generated tons, but you don't necessarily have to try to keep up with them for it to have an impact on your business. Why, so why does it matter so much?
Yeah, let's take a step back and look at what are the ingredients to having a local thriving business. Well, for one, you've got to be visible. People have to know you exist. Number two, you've got to be good at what you're actually offering. And beyond that, you've got to be as good or better than the competition. And three, and this is where reviews come into play, is you have to have social proof. A recent study by Search Engine Journal said that like 91% of the buyers between 18 and 34 are looking at a review to influence and affect their buying decision. So we've got to have those reviews. And then fourth is kind of an appendage to that would be referral. Well, you're not going to get many referrals for your business unless you have customers that have said, hey, we give company ABC our seal of approval. And beyond that, we've gone on a reputable, documented website like Google and said, hey, 5-star service. So the importance really boils down to it's just like one of the 4 pillars of having a foundational, thriving business.
Yeah, and the thing is like the counts matter, because of the fact that it's this many people that are saying something positive or even negative, but it's a lot of people that have engaged with your brand, and said something. And I say, you'll run into competitors that might have 2,000 or 3,000 reviews, or even, like I said, it's very common to see ones that at least have hit the 1,000 mark. And most are still going to be in the hundreds. Okay. The thing is, if you're, when you go through Google Maps, that this is where most of the reviews are, and you may have a high ranking. You may be could be the first or second, could be the third, whatever. It could be the fifth. But the thing is if the other business that's above or below you, if you've got 20 reviews and the one above you's got 200, or the one below you on the listings have that kind of count, why is anybody going to want to do business with you? because there's not many people saying anything. You rank high, but you don't look established like these other people, and it's not a matter of the rankings. It's helping them stand out from the ranking.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a loaded question there, Cash, because I think there's layers and levels to it. On the one hand, yeah, just looking at the sheer volume of a review count for business A and business B, both within the Google 3-pack, right? The top three spots, the spots that are going to show up on mobile, maybe there's a huge disparity there. And so let's talk about the volume first. I think there's a couple of layers, tiers, I should say, within a review count that really mark different stages of the business. First tier is 100 reviews. If you can hit 100 reviews, you're playing the game. And if we're playing the game, we've got a shot. Anybody that's playing the game has a shot to win business. Next tier, 500 reviews. You are better than you're the top 1% of businesses there if you've hit 500 reviews. 1,000 reviews, you're untouchable. So untouchable, top 1%, and playing the game. All of those people have a shot. Now, if you're in that sub 100 review count, what you really need to be focused on, especially if you have had the opportunity to be in the 3-pack with some of those top dogs, what you really need to be focused on is engaging with each and every one of those reviews as they do come in, and then developing all your systems that you have to collect more, right? And the reason I say that first part, which is engaging with the limited amount of reviews that you have, is because that's likely going to be the second layer down of engagement that some of these businesses, even with tons and tons of reviews, may or may not be doing.
Yeah.
And so a buyer is looking at, hey, well, yeah, company ABC has 500 reviews and it's like a 5-star or whatever, but company B has 25 reviews and they're like a 4.7. Well, let's go in and see. Let's go in and look and see if anybody's engaging. Let's go in and see what the people are actually saying about it.
Yeah, because also you take, if it's layers and stuff, also, why does a company with 1,000 reviews continue to even bother to get reviews? Because they need also, they need them to be recent. So they're going to keep compiling. Yeah. It's part of the reason you're never going to catch up, but you shouldn't, you're not worried about that. The thing is they are active and still doing it because they want stuff that shows, left the review, 1 day ago, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, or whatever.
That's right.
They've got to continuously do it. Okay. Because at that point,
that's right.
You're kind of an addict. You have, you got to keep, you can't stop. Okay.
Well, I do think there's an alternative scenario there too that could be the case. And I work with a lot of companies in, I would say, small to mid-market. So under $1 million in their local DMA or city and metro area. And a lot of these guys have tons and tons of reviews into that $500 to $1,000 tier, or not $1,000, 500 to 1,000 review tier, because they've just been around forever. Yeah. And if you're a mom and pop that's been around for 3 generations, well, you're just going to get your referral network's actually feeding your review network, which is counter to what normally happens. And so I think there is a level of passivity that still may be at play that the hungry upstart who doesn't quite have that many reviews can come in and take advantage of.
Yeah. And I like your point about being really active also on the reviews, because you're right. They can. So the companies with large accounts can become complacent. Hopefully they're not, because, from their standpoint, because of the fact that, if you've got that many people, they're generating them using some sort of active system. So they have to understand on the other end, they should be responding to them. But that response is also a way that you can stand out, because it shows that as the owner of the business or your staff or whatever, but it shows that you're actively engaged. You're willing to interact with your customers. These people took the time to do the review. You're thanking them. You're responding. And if it's negative, you might be reaching out afterwards and saying that within your response, so that you can rectify situations. Because when people see that, even if you got a negative review, they see you're also willing to try to do something about it. So all of these things can help you. And as you're building the count up, you're active along the way, in which case it helps to make up for the fact that you don't have the same kind of high count that, the other companies may, but you are very proactive in the way you just operate your business.
When you're demonstrating the culture of your business too. I mean, so often I feel like we see owners responding to, sub 4-star reviews in a very, very negative way. or they only respond to the 1-star reviews, but never give any attention to the 4 and 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
And I think that demonstrates a level of attentiveness that the owner has in regards to what message they're trying to communicate about their DNA and their culture as a company.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, when you're responding, it's making sure that the responses, because I'll tell you, the number of times you see the responses look so canned. Yeah. And it's like, it's not, I understand, especially like franchise businesses and things like that, you might have to respond to a ton of reviews, but it's, if you can make it authentic, I say, actually say something, not just give because a lot of them are very standard. Hey, can you please submit a support ticket or something, and we'll have somebody reach out to you or whatever, So even if they're willing to rectify the situation, even the way that they're willing to go about it is very, just standard. It's not very original. In which case,
it's not intentional.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's not intentional and stuff. And it's like, and you're going to run into those situations. You have to remember, like, if you're trying to build up your review counts and you're actively soliciting from your customer base, you're going to run into some negative situations and stuff too. I say those kinds of things are going to happen. So the way you respond is really going to matter, because it's part of, the whole, I guess, profile that you're building out, through that map listing and such, because the reviews, unlike every, the other pieces of the listing itself, it's really your voice as a company.
Agreed. Amen and amen. There's no denying that. What you say online is going to permeate throughout the rest of your customer base and the rest of your business. And one of the best ways to showcase how you talk to your customers and about your business is in a direct response to a customer interaction. So, amen.
Let's talk about, some of the ways you go about reviews, because here's the thing is, when you get these high review counts, it's actually better not to be a 5.0, like
that's right. Yes.
Because of the fact that, you could have 200 reviews, you could have a lot of them, right? But if you somehow have managed to get through them all with a 5.0, the problem is the people reading them are going to start to think something's up, and so let's talk a bit about ways you do, like, you can do these things, but don't do these, So what are some of the, I guess, Let's start with some of the negatives though, that you might have seen. I've certainly seen a few things, that people have attempted or done over the years, that are not, exactly on the up and up.
Well, first off, I mean, let's be clear. If any of you out there have, 30, 40, 50 5-star reviews on your profiles, like, please, we're not saying, hey, you guys have screwed the pooch here. Statistics for days. One of the recent statistics that I think Cash is referencing is that, like, somewhere between a 4.7 and a 4.9 indicates a much higher likelihood of conversion for a buying decision. Mm-hmm. And the reason is it just feels more authentic. You feel more real. And all the stuff we were saying before about the intentionality of an owner jumping in and responding to a review or whatever else. Well, if you're getting only 5-star reviews, that's probably because you're out soliciting them, which, bravo, you should be. And so there's nothing wrong with that. But 4.7, 4.9, those demonstrate opportunities. Those negative reviews or sub 5-star reviews that you've gotten demonstrate opportunities to engage. So please don't knock yourself.
Yeah, they do demonstrate opportunities to engage without a doubt. And yes, you should be soliciting reviews, but you got to know a couple of things when you're doing that. For one, if you're going to solicit, you don't incentivize. You're not supposed to. Okay. And if you use any kind of a review generation system, they will, they're not supposed to allow you to be able to do that. So, like, hey, if you give me a positive review, I will give you this as a reward. And that's a no-go. You can't do that kind of stuff.
That's right. You want to earn reviews on your own merits. I think another thing is paying for reviews. A lot of times, I mean, I'm sure many of you out there who have Google business listings have received the wild solicitation from who knows where saying, hey, many reviews, small amount of money, we'll get them for you. That's fly by night. That's black hat. We don't do that. You will quickly get dinged for it. Yeah. Fake reviews are worse than no reviews, hands down.
Yeah, Google has ways of identifying which ones are fake and stuff. So that's always going to be something. Don't fall for the temptation, I say, because if you're good at what you do, you should have plenty of customers that are happy with your service, and you can just straight ask them. You don't have to incentivize them or anything. Say, hey, if you were happy with us, can you please leave a review and stuff? Because and you can say something like, if you were happy, please leave us a review. You're not stopping them if they weren't happy from leaving you a review. And like I said, it's the risk you take. But you're not incentivizing with a reward for doing so. That's the main thing that matters. And there's a lot of people that will. I've seen. I don't know if you've seen this, but I've seen. Recently, I saw a solicitation that was about generating reviews, and they were like, "Hey, I've got a bunch of local business guides. They've got those people on Google with the profiles that are identified that way." And I'm like, it doesn't matter. You didn't do business with them.
That's right. That's exactly right. And even Google's now starting to ask, like, did you do business with this company whenever you go leave a review, which is interesting. I think you touched on something a moment ago that what is the number one tool and vehicle to acquiring more reviews? It's quite simply asking.
Yeah.
Just go ask your current customer base. And you asked about tools. The shameless plug here, I love Nice Job. Nice Job has been an incredible tool for every single one of my clients. It's like a standard part of what we do at FinSpost. Integrate Nice Job. And the biggest thing they help with is getting you to ask for a review at the right time, multiple times. And we've seen all of our customers benefit greatly from integrating Nice Job and actually going in and saying, hey, we're going to be intentional about acquiring reviews simply by asking our customers.
Yeah, a lot of it is most software, it's the whole point of it, whether one that's popular is Podium, another one's Bird Eye and stuff.
That's right.
They're really, there's plenty of popular software out there. The whole idea behind the software is that it's doing the asking for you. You're able to plug it into systems, like your accounting software and things like that, so that when you enter a new customer, you can make this more set and forget. And then we'll send the solicitation for a review after you've done a service, so you're able to put in triggers, to be able to have it so that the timing is right. Because a lot of people, otherwise, what ends up happening is they don't ask for a while, a month, 2 months, or whatever, and then they go back in and then they try to do it en masse, which Google wants to, like most things with Google, it wants to see, a steady progression of reviews, not necessarily a bombardment of suddenly they got a bunch, all on the same day. Right. And everything. Yeah. So that's what most of your software is, actually used for, to make sure that you can, put together a steady progression every time you've got somebody, that comes along.
That's right.
Let me ask you a couple of things now. So how do you handle negative reviews? Okay. But also, how do you handle fake reviews that are negative? Okay. Because I've seen instances, where people, could be competitors or whatever, they'll go in, they'll do 1 star. They've never done business with you, but they'll do it just to harm your reputation. So in both,
or a disgruntled former employee.
Yeah. So how do you, exactly. How do you handle those situations?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I think Google is increasingly, and we're using Google as a use case because it's primarily the number one vehicle for review generation and consumer feedback right now. But Google has done a great job ramping up their efforts on diminishing the opportunities for spam or false reviews to happen. And then once they do happen, increasing the availability of support and help. So in short, that's going to happen. And what do you do when that happens? Well, you immediately report it. I think that's step one. You go report this as a false review. Google has very clear steps on how to do that. So if you're a business owner with a Google business listing, make sure you go find where report review, and it'll give you a series of options, right? It's false, never did business with me. I don't know who this person is. It's spam, so on and so forth. I think the other thing, immediately after that, or if it's a negative review with a genuine customer, regardless, you have to be direct and you have to be pleasant and you have to be intentional. We said it before, that's an opportunity. And so let's say it's a disgruntled former employee. Context is great, except in the public space. So you want to be, like, even if you showcase how right you were or how wrongly this person is talking about you and your business, it's still not going to do you any favors in the public eye. And so what you have to do is you have to be very gracious and very gentle and yet firm in saying, hey, sorry you had a poor experience. We are happy to handle this offline with you. We appreciate your time that you worked with us. Boom, done. Disgruntled former employee. Report that thing. Go talk to them offline, so on and so forth. Spam one. Hey, we're reporting you. But outwardly, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to say, hey, we don't have you. Go ahead and call them out. We don't have you registered in our books. It appears you've never done business with us. If you would like to, go here. If you have some other instance, go here. And make sure to direct them and treat them as a customer service opportunity.
Yeah.
But then quickly go report, right?
Yeah.
We're still reporting. But outwardly matters. What we demonstrate outwardly into the public eye matters a lot.
Let me ask you a question on the if you're responding to them, even if they're just starring you, because they could end up starring you, they're not actually saying
Sure.
anything, because they don't want to say anything disparaging, especially if they're a former employee or something, because that's a fairly common occurrence with businesses and stuff, because whoever the ex-employee is, they want to, harm your reputation and stuff. But do you think from the standpoint, because not everything that's reported, even though it's legit, actually gets removed by Google. Yeah,
That's right.
So
that's right.
So the question is if you go counter and then report it, do you think it ups the odds of getting it removed, overall, because then you've provided them at least some context?
I don't have great data on that. I don't see how it could hurt, because at that point there is a manual review process that's triggered. Google does, contrary to popular belief, have some manual reviews that happen there. The other thing to consider is that if somebody leaves a no text, only star review, it is much more likely to be able to get removed quicker in that regard.
Yeah.
But I think that regardless of whether or not it ever gets removed, asking for more information, especially if it's a star only, saying, hey, we don't have a record of you in our books. We'd love to serve you well.
Yeah.
Can you give us some more context as to why you left us a poor review?
Yeah.
People are going to look at those. And I mean, you and I do it whenever
Sure.
I'm looking for a new restaurant in town. I immediately go to the 3-star and then the 1-star. Those are where I go.
Yeah.
3-star and 1-star. And I read them.
Yeah.
And if somebody didn't leave anything, I throw that out. People are smart.
Yeah, I think that's another good point that you make too, that, no business really is perfect and stuff. You're going to have some negativity.
Right.
You can't do it right all the time. But that goes back to your, responding to the negative reviews, because I do the same thing. Okay, I see some good ones on top and I'll read the first couple, but then I'm going to go and I'm going to check out the 1-star and 2-star and, potentially 3-star. I want to know what they did wrong. Because then I'm looking at, is this an actual issue with the business? Because if you read, you read the review, you can often tell, is it really the problem of the customer? Maybe expectations were set way too high. Like they have kind of like their own expectation, whether the company set it for them or not. It's just what they wanted was never going to be possible, yet they're still mad about it because it couldn't be done, things like that. So by reading the review, you understand whether it was it's a legit review, but was what they wanted even possible and stuff. So a lot of people are going to do that. So if you're responding, that also is extremely, beneficial for you, because you are responding to that negativity and they're going to read that too.
Well, it's not something to be fearful of. I mean, guys, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to let your voice be heard, an opportunity for you to showcase what the true heart and intent of your business is. Because I think for a lot of people, businesses are just, nameless entities, not nameless entities, unpersonified entities, right? They're not, they're just bastions of existence. But when we get to personify them and let people know our culture and our heart, especially at a local level, I mean, that's what your community is made of. And so we want to know and understand the DNA of our community.
Yeah. So let's talk, timing on reviews and such, because I mentioned earlier, I say you can't wait too long and stuff, but is there an optimal, way to go about it? Like, the obvious answer would be like in the moment, but it's not always the case, because depending on the type of business you run, it could be,
right.
There can be some different triggers, for it. So what's your, recommendation? What's your advice on that?
Yeah, I'm pretty open-handed with with my trade secrets. They're not really secrets. So I would love to open up the hood here. I think there's a couple of different environments, like you said. One is I deliver a product or service in person at the time, of transaction. That's when it's happening. Well, in that instance, we're always asking immediately. Boom, ask. Whether it's a little QR code card or a little customer feedback thing on your iPad or some other device, even just to ask, hey, go search us in Google, company ABC, Augusta, Georgia. Well, boom, they'll go review right then. I think that's scenario number one. Scenario number two is it's an offsite transaction, meaning the payment doesn't happen until after the service has happened or something else. The deal is done online somewhere, not in person. Well, that is less likely to get you a review on the front end with the first ask, but it gives you more bites at the apple long term. Because what we do in that situation is we will go ahead and immediately once transaction happens, we'll send out an email and a text saying, hey, thanks so much. Would love for you to leave us a review based on your experience. Here's a link here and here, email and text. Boom, done. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go a day later, send something similar. 3 days later, we'll do something similar again. And then we'll give them a break. And last touch will go in that 5 to 7 mark days after time of service or transaction. And what we found is that 3 email sequence plus the first touch really gives the most opportunity in the highest likelihood for somebody to leave a review. We're not going to hound them. We're not going to badger them. Some may call that hounding, but we're going to leave them alone after a certain amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, there's a point where obviously they're not going to leave it. So you don't keep, pressing for it. Yeah.
That's right.
So like I say, you want to try to keep it as much in the moment. It's got to be fresh, top of mind. If the, person did the service well, whatever it was that, was being done, that's going to, like I say, it will leave a positive impression. One thing I like to, always remind people is, and this especially applies to if somebody is happy with the service, because, you can take 10 people and you could be great 9 times, you could be bad once. And I guarantee you the only person that'll leave the review is the one that was bad. Okay. The other,
that's right.
If you don't ask the other 9 and hound them a couple of times to say, hey, you could still do this, you're never, going to get it. You're like, they won't do it, but you'll get the negative and that will pile up. They say, because people, when they get, mad, irritated, whatever, they're, whatever it may be. I mean, I've left negative reviews for restaurants before I even left the restaurant because they made me mad enough,
Man. Yes.
But
we want your positive review too. That's all the more impactful. Somebody clicks in and sees the local guide with 17 1 stars and then 25 5 stars. Yeah, you trust that guy.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, so you got to remember that, people can be emotionally driven like that, in which case you want to make sure, that, you are soliciting because like I say, they, they're still in the moment. So if they're happy with you, that's when they're going to remember it and everything. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on, with reviews. It is, a bit of a gift that keeps on giving if you do it. But you got to know that you have to systemize it. This is a process. This is something that you don't stop doing. Right. You have to continuously pile them up over, months and years and whatnot, and keep building them up. Have you seen any particular, because of reviews, weird situations that have arisen, for clients or anything? Because sometimes, like I say, they can be, and here's the thing is you have to trust. And it really speaks about your business too, about if you're getting a lot of negatives. And one of the things I point out is review, because I guess they have the ability to show you things. The example I would give is if you go through and you read a bunch of positive reviews and you see somebody mentioned all the time that's on your staff. So you start to learn a bit that in their case, they're great at customer service. They're always getting mentioned and such, So have you seen,
that's right.
So what are some of the side benefits, I guess, and also some of the things that might happen that would be out of the norm?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think going back to what you were saying, a lot of these softwares have tools that allow you to analyze sentiment. And I think that's pretty awesome is when, you don't really know what your guys are doing out in the field at a personal customer interaction level. Okay, we did the job and the job got done, or we know, hey, this guy has great sales and that guy has less great sales. But like, what is the interaction with the customer like? And a lot of times I'll have clients that say, hey, yeah, Joe, turns out he is a fan favorite. His sales are kind of meh, but all of his clients keep coming back. And if you look at our reviews, Joe's name is mentioned, 80% of the time. So that's awesome. It gives like business owners just this whole new layer of culture analysis that they get to evaluate and look at and use to enhance the business.
Yeah. I like to give the situation too, is you can see that there's a problem with the business too. Yeah. Because if you see consistent reviews that are like negative one after another and stuff, because you have to understand that if you don't address the situation and your reviews are a good indication, you're going to have a problem, and that problem can get worse and stuff. The one that I like to bring up is Safelite Auto Glass. We have we have a local franchise, and I needed a windshield, and I wanted it on a Saturday. I figured they'd be the one auto glass place that was open and such. But I went on, so I searched maps, I found them and such. They had 100 reviews and a 2.7. It was like really bad. And I read through those, and I went through the negative, and I saw the most recent and everything. And I was like, there's no way I'm doing business with this company. I wanted the windshield done on a Saturday just because of the convenience and stuff. But I waited till Monday, and I went with a different company. So you can understand that, like, with your company, if you're seeing that kind of negativity as an owner, you need to be looking at that, because if there are problems, they're going to be, and it could be that, could be specific staff that are also mentioned. Like I said, they can be mentioned in a positive light, but also in a negative light. But in this case, the company seemed to have a problem, and people were consistently mentioning that they were late, didn't have the windows in stock, didn't have any number of things.
Oh man. Yeah.
So keep in mind that it can be, it's a source of feedback too, for the business to see the problems within that they might need to address.
Agreed. 100% agreed. Yeah. There's been some wild instances though, especially, anecdotally, one of my clients actually had two customers bickering with each other.
Oh, yeah.
In reviews, right? Like in the reviews, one would leave a review, the other disgruntled employee would leave a review back. One would leave a comment on that review, and then so on and so forth, just using husbands or friends or whatever's different Google profiles to go do that. Absolutely.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I have seen some of that. That goes back to don't get into a dispute online with your customers, because that's really going to show up.
It will show up.
Yeah, so make sure that you never do that. So it's things like that you have to watch out for. I say disputes being one of them. You don't want to. I've seen people go into rages too. On the way that they respond. I say it's all on there. And they've gotten really negative, and then you say, well, why would I ever want to deal with this business? Because if something goes wrong, because I've seen a few instances where essentially the customer was attacked by the business owner, just verbally.
Yeah, we can't have that. Never, right? Never.
Yeah.
If you want your business to be a business, never.
Yeah. So those kinds of things can happen and stuff. Remember, you can't have employees go on there and disparage you and stuff. So you can't have, like I say, you want to, take it all with basically, reviews are an area where, as a business owner, you can control the situation a bit if you have systems and processes in place, because no matter what, there's going to be, over time at least, a story told about you. It's a matter of whether you're the, driving the direction of that story. Because it is partly how you run your business and then how you deal with customers. Would you have any last pieces of advice for people wanting to pump up their reviews?
Yeah, it's simple. Go out and ask your customers for a review. That's it. Go get them.
Yep, go get them. Okay, well, this has been great. We've been talking reputation management reviews, how they really they matter for your business, and they're going to matter for a long time. It's not something going away anytime soon. It's just the accounts are getting higher and higher, and now we're really seeing, with some of these systems and stuff, software that exists, how it's coming into play. But even just, simply asking, like I say, you had a couple of ideas for, like leave behinds, things like that, QR codes, any number of things.
Just go ask.
Yeah, exactly.
Put yourself out there and give them the opportunity. Otherwise, they won't do it on their own.
Yeah.
So go ask.
Yeah. So Ross, this has been great. How would people get a hold of you?
Yeah. Well, you can check me out at fencepost.co, on Twitter at the Ross McDaniel, and Instagram is a great place too. We're starting to put some content out there. See my mean mug. But yeah, fencepost.co would be the best place.
Okay. Well, my name is Cash Miller. I'm the host of Marketing Masters, CEO of Titan Digital. It's been another great episode, and thank you for joining us.